Hi, in this next video we're going to take a look at pointers and just try to review the basics of these things. The terminology is really what gets to be a sticking point with these things. So let's take a look at this example. I've got a little program here that doesn't do much, and what I'm going to do is declare a variable called myData, and I'll assign the value 777.77 to it. So no big deal, and we know that if we ever want to print this out, you've got it. But pointers are things that can grab the address of a variable we own and indirectly get you to the data. So let's make a pointer variable here. This variable is going to be a pointer to a double. That's what the star means there. And I'm going to call it data pointer. Now, it doesn't point to anything right now. It's just an empty variable out there waiting for a number to come in. And the number we're going to put in that is the address of that other variable that we own, myData. So I can do that here. We'll put into it the address of myData. So now data pointer points to where myData is. Just as I can print out the number that's stored in myData using the statement I already have, this one, I can also print it out using my pointer variable. And here's the trick. To go to where a pointer variable points, we call that dereferencing. We use the dereferencing operator, which unfortunately is the same star, but it's in a different context. So there I've got two cout statements. This goes directly to the variable and grabs the data. This dereferences a pointer, goes to where it points, and tells you the data that's there. So let's give this a shot. We're going to save it, compile it, run it. Okay. So we got at the data two different ways. We got at the data directly through the variable that contained it, and indirectly, this is actually called an indirection process, indirectly by dereferencing our pointer variable. So that's the simple way to handle pointers. The next thing I'll try to show you here is how to use a dynamic memory allocation to create a place to store data, and to do that with the pointers. So I'm going to come down here, and we already have this pointer variable. Now instead of hooking it up to be the address of a variable we already own, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to use a new operator to create a brand new unnamed memory spot out there, and I'll even put a number in there. Let's put in 888.88. So now I have data pointer pointing to an unnamed block of memory that has a number in it. Now when I run this program, it should print out 888.88 when we do this. So let's get out and let's compile it, And let's run it. There you go. So we've got a pointer now that can point to variables we own and things that we create. And of course, the ultimate of this is, instead of having it point to one thing that we create, let's make it point to like an array of 5 doubles. So now our data pointer points to an unnamed block of memory that happens to be 5 doubles. So we've just created an array here. I can no longer just dereference a data pointer properly. What I really need to do is treat this as if it was an array and print out the elements one by one. This is cool. So I'm going to treat data pointer as if it was an array, and then I'll have a for loop. And I'll have my for loop go down this array that data pointer points to and print out each of the values. The only trouble with this is I don't have any values in that array. When I created it up here, it's basically empty. It's just a block of 5 doubles. So let's put some data values in there, and we can do that with a for loop also. So I'm going to just copy this, put it up here. Okay. And I'll put some values in it. I want to avoid integer division. So we'll put a bunch of values in it and then we'll print them out. That's all we're going to do. I don't really need to print out my data anymore, do I? Got the idea from that? About that? So I've got one for loop that is going to put data into our dynamic array, and one for loop is going to print data out from it. Ooh, interesting problem here. The first value for I was 0. And so you'll notice that when I try to take 100 and divide it by 0, I got infinity here. Division by 0 is undefined. So it wasn't able to get that value in, but it got all the rest of them in. And I can fix that pretty simply by saying, why don't you divide it by this quantity? I plus 1. So now when I is 0, we divide it by 1, and so on. That'll give us a whole new set of values. Run it. There we go. So what have we done? We have created a dynamic array using new out of nothing. We established a pointer variable that pointed to a double right here, and then we hooked it up to this brand new block of memory with a new operator, and then we were able to treat it just like a normal array, putting data in, printing data out, whatever we needed to do. So that's the basics of pointers. That should review some of the more important stuff here. You can do much more with dereferencing. With arrays, you can use pointers to move down it, or you can dereference locations. The author has all kinds of examples. But this is the basic stuff. And on the final exam, I will definitely be going over pointers. I'll want to know, do you know the terminology? Do you know what dereferencing is? Do you know what dynamic memory allocation is? What a pointer variable is? And so on. So pay particular attention to pointers when you study for the final. I won't have you write any pointer code, but I will ask you about it. So, okay, thanks.